أسعد الله أوقاتكم أحبتنا ومتابعينا في كل مكان، ويسعدنا اليوم أن تكون معنا النائب في برلمان أونتاريو أليكسا جيلمور، وهي وزيرة في حكومة الظل لشؤون المواطنة والتعددية الثقافية. Good morning.
Morning, Haitham.
If you would like to introduce yourself to our listeners and our followers.
Sure. My name is Alexa Gilmour. I'm a minister with the United Church of Canada and the MPP for Parkdale High Park, with special responsibilities as the shadow minister for citizenship and multicultural.
We would like to discuss some points regarding your work as an MPP for representing the Ontario Ndp, and
Yes.
your focus in a couple of issues that might be of interest to the Arab and Islamic community in Canada or in Ontario. So
Perfect.
Let's start with as a United Church minister and community organizer, how does faith-informed leadership shape your priorities at Queen Park?
So everything I've done is in response to my own sense of calling and what I feel God is calling me to do in this moment. As a United Church minister, of course, that's a denomination that's been at the forefront of social justice issues. And in my own work locally in Toronto, none of that could be done without taking an interfaith lens. So even my doctorate, which I've been working on, has been on helping people put their faith into practice. We, on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, we tell people that God loves us, that we are to go and to care for one another, especially the most vulnerable. And I've always been looking for ways to do that. And it feels at this moment that the way that I can do that is move from the front lines where I was working with people directly to the policies that shape our world, affordability, healthcare, anti-racism policies, all of those. And it's been deeply, deeply shaped by my faith and for me, the Christian tradition, but informed by the relationships I've had over the years with the interfaith community in Toronto.
Can you share one lived experience that directly changed your stance on a policy or a vote?
When I was in my first year of ministry, I met a human rights activist family that had fled a paramilitary white supremacist group that had tried to murder them. And they were here in Canada, and they had a lawyer that failed them. They were ordered deported, and they would certainly have faced potentially death. And my church welcomed them into sanctuary, meaning they were under our protection while we encouraged the government to find a way to keep them here in Canada. And it was our Muslim and Jewish brothers and sisters that came alongside us to help keep these people alive and cared for and advocating for their protection. And that moment in my life and in the community that I was serving forever changed my understanding of what we're called to, what we're capable of, and the power of people when the government fails, to understand that our laws are there, but they're not perfect, and they do fail on occasion. And it is up to each and every one of us as Canadians to make sure that when that happens, we care for those who have fallen through the cracks, and that then we revise and change and fight for policies that ensure every single person can thrive here in Canada.
On another issue that you have been following up, and we have honestly been receiving a lot of requests from the community in regard of the TRV program for Gaza. What immediate fixes are you arguing from Ottawa and from Queens Park, and what timeline are you setting for results?
Thanks, Hatham. Yes, this is an urgent priority, both for the federal NDP and the provincial NDP. While, of course, a lot of this lies with the federal government, we at the Ontario NDP, as a caucus, and have signed a letter urging both Mark Carney and Premier Ford to take a principled stance on the international stage, to end its complicity in violence. And that means, when it comes specifically to the TRV program, that we have to have a surge team deployed within the IRCC that's dedicated to the Gaza cases to help expedite the process and the applications. And we're not seeing the level of refugees from Gaza that we saw from the Ukraine, from other countries. And we're not seeing the urgent action even on the part of our provincial government. And we're asking them to increase the settlement supports for Palestinian refugees, to waive the OHIP period for them, and to ensure that there is a compassionate, immediate, urgent response to the crisis.
If those changes don't materialize within 60 to 90 days, what's your next step to escalate?
We're not going to wait 60 to 90 days. Immediately after we released the letter, my colleague Dolly Begum and my other colleague Kristen Wong-Tam and I stood with Gazan Canadians in the media room for a press conference, and that was also attended by Jews Say No to Genocide and other groups, calling for the support that the Muslim community in Canada has been calling for. And so we won't be waiting 30 to 90 days. We're going to be continuing to invite and urge the federal government and the Premier to act. It's too urgent to wait.
So are you expecting any changes soon, like based on what you're proposing?
We know that our demands have gone to the Minister for Foreign Affairs. We know that there are conversations happening, and we are, not going to give up until we see action. And of course, in all of this, we are working with our Muslim partners to take their lead, to take the Palestinian partners here in Canada's lead on what the next steps are.
Another topic, from your sessions with the Jami Mosque and the NCCM Town Hall, what did you hear on affordability, healthcare, education, access, and halal financing services that isn't reaching policymakers? And what's the single most actionable step this session?
That's a really good question, and it's such a fulsome question. My conversations, these listening sessions, were very moving. People speaking about their experience in the education system with anti-Palestinian racism, in the healthcare system, again, where the appropriate cultural care is not happening, in the finance system, where people are being shut out and needing different financial systems, and across it all, the pervasive painful reality of racism, anti-Palestinian, anti-Muslim racism. And one of the things in each one of those sectors was a need for better education in the school systems themselves, anti-Palestinian racism, but across the sectors, whether that's a doctor or healthcare provider needing to understand how to provide appropriate care, or in the financial institutions. Education was a big piece of that. But of course, we've tabled lots of legislation and made requests for specific pieces, all based on these conversations including you had mentioned, I think, the financial piece around. You had mentioned halal financing, right? And so there are specific pieces there that we've tabled in the past, and we'll be continuing to table to ensure that that Muslim Canadians can access the housing market, the rental market, and feel safe in schools and in hospitals and other care settings.
Perfect. So on the same topic, I know that the Ontario Ndp is also confronting the Islamophobia and the anti-Palestinian and anti-Arab racism, as you mentioned. Where does expanding the Our London Family Act stands right now?
I'm so glad you asked about that. This is an important piece of legislation that the NDP has tabled in the past, in previous sessions, but it died on the order paper when the election was called. And we are going to be expecting to be retabling that. But right now what we are doing is consulting in the Muslim communities to make sure that it is the strongest piece of legislation that it can be before we bring it back to the legislature. And again, we hope that in this session, the Ford government won't do as he's done in the past, which is to turn a blind eye and to really ignore this important piece of legislation.
Can you explain to us and the listeners about what is this London Family Act stands for?
Yes, so the London Family Act came out of the horrific deaths of the Afzal family, who were tragically killed in an Islamophobic terrorist attack many years ago now. And it required a provincial review of the hate crimes, hate-motivated instances, and new tools and strategies for communities in Ontario schools to combat racism, Islamophobia, and established an Ontario Anti-Racism Advisory Council to make sure that racialized communities have a say in government policies. Some of this is being reworked, and so we'll have to wait to see how the new legislation is strengthened by our conversations with the Muslim communities.
So what cross-party agreement would you pursue first to deliver it?
Well, I think we're looking. We can't imagine a world in which any party would not support legislation that ensured that Canadians were safe. So we are hoping to see when this is tabled that all parties, including the government, pass this legislation urgently. We're all seeing the rise of hate crimes and Islamophobia, and the time is now to act.
What's your message to the Arab and Muslim community and the families who feel unseen right now?
In sitting with the moms at the mosque a couple of weeks ago, when the National Canadian Council of Muslims had put together a town hall, I felt my own heart as a mom breaking, and I also felt the hope of that comes when we truly do see each other and we truly do listen to one another. So I offer great gratitude to the Muslim leaders in Canada, that's local leaders, national leaders, and as part of the Ontario NDP, and the Shadow Minister for Citizenship and Multiculturalism, I commit to continue standing alongside you until we see an end to Islamophobia and we truly live into the vision for Ontario where every single one of us can thrive.
MPP Alexa Gilmour, thank you very much for being with us, and we hope to get you and one more in the future to discuss this successful, hopefully.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best to you. Bye-bye.